Go. Welcome everyone to my Ask Me Anything for March 14, 2024. I am Dan Wasink and from Dan's Tutorials. If you want to learn more about me, if you're watching this on YouTube or whatever, take a look at danstutorials.com and you can find out more about me there and how you can also help support my efforts. All right, a couple of quick notes before we begin. Zoom was acting up with me and it didn't record my participants' voices. So I tried to edit out those blank spots so you're not listening to nothing there. Also, towards the end, Zoom just froze up on me. Now, we were at the end of the webinar, so you didn't miss out on any questions. We were just wrapping it up, but it does abruptly end. So those are a couple of quick notes before we begin. All right, let's get back over to my webinar. But let's just go right to the questions because this is all for my members here. So the first question that I have is from Michael, and he asks, you have any comments or have any comments on Apple and others with the subscription services? Now, Michael, are you talking about like just in general Apple's services like iCloud and stuff like that? My thoughts on it are, it's not necessarily a bad thing. As a past software developer, what I found out was I could have an app out there that is, very, very old and it's still on someone's computer and they expect it to still work. So there's that expectation of the developer to keep on developing that app, one time, and then they get lifetime security updates and all that kind of stuff. And probably in the past, it wasn't so hard because you were spending $25, $30 on a piece of software, even more. Well, now today, the software these days are relatively inexpensive in the big scheme of things. You're paying $9.99, $4.99. And if it is not a subscription, the problem that the developer runs into is they have to keep that up, even though it could be 5 years old. And if they don't, the person, and I've personally seen this, where people get a little upset. So the subscription service, what that does is if you like their software and you use it, it keeps the developer developing it and adding new features and things like that. And we have to remember that, software is a lot cheaper these days than what it was, 10, 20 years ago. Like I said, you're finding apps that are $10, $5 a year, $10 a year. And the downside of the subscriptions, of course, is what everyone's feeling these days is, overload on the subscriptions. Where did I subscribe to this? What is this? And that truly is a problem. And what I try to do when I buy software, even though if you buy it outside of Mac's App Store, you're helping support the developer a little bit more. But I do try to buy most of my software through the App Store. And the main reason is not that I want to support Apple in that aspect. They are taking 15 to 30%. The developer doesn't know who you are, so the developer can't give you any updates. I have my soapbox that I have on the App Store, and it isn't generally a good one, But outside of that, it's extremely convenient to manage all of my subscriptions. So I do try to purchase everything through the App Store if I can, because it just makes it super convenient. If I don't do that, and this could be for any subscription, what I'll do is I'll put a calendar event in my calendar, and it just reminds me 2 days before the renewal is up, so then I know that, I need to cancel this, kind of thing. Another thing that you can do when you subscribe to software is you can subscribe to it and then cancel it. And in most cases, let's say you want to subscribe to a piece of software, it's an annual subscription, but you know that you don't want to carry on that annual subscription. What you can do is you can cancel that subscription and you'll still have use for that software for the next year, barring that there's not a free trial. So once you get past that free trial, go ahead and cancel it. So let's say you get the iPad Pro, Final Cut Pro for the iPad Pro. It's $50 a year. Apple gives you a 2-week free trial. Okay, well, after 2 weeks, go and cancel it through Apple. You're going to have access to that for the next year. But come the next year, it won't renew. So it's just a way that you can protect yourself from these runoffs. I get it. I don't use Airtable anymore, and I just had an invoice 3 weeks ago for Airtable, and it was like $250. I'm like, ah. Sometimes what I will do is I will go and ask them for a refund. It doesn't happen all the time, but surprisingly enough, in a lot of cases, the developer will be like, yeah, we understand this, and we'll give you the refund. Or, some cases they'll be like, yeah, it looks like you haven't used this because they have log files. You haven't logged in for a while. Yeah, we'll give you a refund. So, basically that's how I use it. And I really like Setapp, and it's almost like I want to email Phil Schiller and say, you need to take a step out of Setapp's Setapp. We won't go into this whole Setapp thing, but Setapp is like Michael was saying, is a subscription service. You pay $10 to $15 a month, and you have access to over 200 apps. Some of these apps are meh, but there's some really pretty good ones in there, and basically you get access to that on your computer for that subscription. You get access to all 200 of these apps. Now, what I like about Setapp's App Store, let's just say, I want to email Phil because he's in charge of Apple's App Store. When you open up Setapp, I'm getting a little off base here, but when I go to my Mac here, they have a nice little notification here, and I can actually see, what is new. And I know that Apple has that, but they kind of bury it. In fact, when one of these apps get updated, I get a little dialogue saying, hey, this is what's new. I don't mind that. I like to see what's new. There's a lot of times it's not only bug fixes, but developers will add features. And if you don't look to see, I'm gonna mute everyone. Excuse me. And if anyone has any questions, you know how it works. Just let me know. Or just interrupt me, I should say. Don't let me know. So I'm gonna mute everyone here. Okay. So back to Setapp. What I like about this is they have this little thing here, and basically it kind of tells you what's new and all that in a nice little format, where Apple's is kind of buried. And in some cases, when you open up the app itself, they'll also give you a little thing of here's what's new. And Apple doesn't necessarily do that. And in fact, on the Apple Vision Pro, I'm looking for that Zoom update. I have no idea. There's no way for me, as far as I can tell, on the Apple Vision Pro, for me to see if an app is updated. If I go to the App Store, there's no way that I can see if it's updated. So I think they're kind of missing the boat in some of these cases. And I think that Setapp does a really nice job with how their App Store is designed and how it works. It has uninstall. Apple, you can't uninstall. You drag it to the trash, but with Setapp, it uninstalls it, and it uninstalls all of the extra files if you want. You have the option for that. So, but that is a subscription service as well, of course. Back to the subscription. So I don't look at, I've never really looked at subscriptions as a bad thing. You just have to stay on top of it. Again, I'm coming from the other side, from the developer side of it. Recurring income gives you a better incentive to keep updating the app than not. So I don't look at it as necessarily a bad thing, as long as you can keep the prices relatively low. So, and my beef with Apple isn't necessarily the App Store itself. I do think that the App Store is nice. My beef with them is their review process. I don't agree with their review process, but that could be another that could be another story and another meeting, kind of thing. All right, let's go to our next question, and that is Time Machine Discs. So Jean, I think I'm getting this right. Is he here? But he asks, should time machine backups, all right, should time machine backups be formatted as HFS Plus or macOS Extended, or should they be the new APFS format? And really what it comes down to is APFS is the short answer. The reason why Apple redid their format system, they redid it back in 2017, was because solid state drives. The HFS Plus is an older format, and it was slow to HFS Plus, or I'm sorry, it was slow to SSD hard drives. The other thing that it didn't offer was, I'm looking at my notes here, if I can find it here, snapshots, encryption, and then space sharing. So it's just a newer file system. But that doesn't mean that every computer should be using APFS. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, think of a record player, those little grooves that you see, that's how it's formatted. Do we format it with wide grooves or with narrow grooves? They're going to still play the same song. It's just a matter of is it 33 or is it 45? Which one is better? Or is it the old, 16 or 78? 78 is what it was. So they all get us the same outcome, but some of them just work a little bit better than others. So back to HFS Plus. That is great for older operating systems. So basically what you want to use is that with, looking at it at my notes here, when did they introduce it? SSDs, snapshots. Okay, for most users running macOS High Sierra or later, it is recommended that you format it for APFS. That's why I say the short answer is APFS. Now, if you're using an older computer, then you might want to use HFS Plus. And you can use HFS Plus with the newer computers. It's just not going to get all of the benefits, especially if it's an SSD. You just want to go with APFS Plus. We'll just keep it at that, unless you're using something that is really, really old. So, and you can put that back as HFS Plus and still do the two different. The data will be on both of them. And Time Machine is just, or Time, yeah, those Airport with the Time Machine, just old, it's just old, so they don't support it. And actually, what you could do with those airports is does it have a USB port in the back of it? Yeah, APFS will work on the standard drives too. It's just designed to work better for SSDs. SSDs and HFS Plus are not as efficient. Where AFS Plus or APFS will take advantage of the SSDs, solid state drives, and it just format. But they both are interchangeable. It's just one's designed better for SSDs and has a few more features. And especially for backups, it's not that big of a deal because you're just backing up files. It's not like you're using snapshots or anything like that. So. Our next question is, can you show the battery? This comes from Tom. Welcome, Tom. And I don't really have an answer for this because it would really be up to the software. So he has lapel mics, probably like Rode. There's as far as I know, there really would be no way of doing that because you could do it through Bluetooth, but the phone would have to. Right now they're wireless, but how is it connecting to the phone? Is it connecting wirelessly to the phone? Next question. And this comes from Ward. Do you have a favorite cloud backup? Basically, he's asking CrashPlan versus Backblaze. And what these are, for those of you who don't know, are offline backups. So basically, instead of going to a time machine, what your files are doing is going to somewhere in the cloud. It's either going to Backblaze services or CrashPlan, whichever one you want to use. And Ward is asking which one is better, or which one do you prefer? So I personally used to use CrashPlan. I'll tell you my story, and I had no problem with it. But I've recently, I shouldn't say recently, but years ago I switched over to Backblaze. And the main reason, so I worked at a publishing company and we used CrashPlan because CrashPlan is really good for teams and small businesses and things like that. Backblaze is better for more personal, like just me. And now I'm just on my own, so I just have this computer here, and I just back it up to Backblaze. It's easier to use than CrashPlan because it just does one thing. It's a single user kind of thing. So you have limited customization options, but it's just super simple to use. And not that CrashPlan isn't, but it's not necessarily designed. I think they came out with a personal service one, but I still prefer to use Backblaze. And another reason why I switched, now this is a long time ago, Backblaze was written as a native Mac OS software where CrashPlan was kind of written as a hybrid. It was supported on Mac and PC. So it was in one of those, shared codes kind of thing. And I'm not a huge fan of those. So I was just like, you know what? I just want to support a developer that is developing for the Mac. I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore. But I can tell you that I do love Backblaze. It's been working great for me, and I've been using it for years. And I went and asked my little AI genius kind of thing, and basically it came back with they're both good, but for most people, Backblaze is what people prefer when it's not a company. Yeah, what Ward's talking about with most of us, especially if you have Comcast, Charter, or anything like that, we may have a very high download speed. I have a gigabyte download speed, but I only have 25 gigabyte upload speed, and I pay for that. The standard house has 5 gigabytes of upload speed. So if when you're backing your computer up using Backblaze or CrashPlan, it's only backing up 5 gigabytes. Is that a second? Anyway, if you have, 512 gigabytes or a terabyte or more, that is going to take a long time to back up to the cloud. Like Ward was saying, it can take weeks to months, and it will, just because upload speed is very, very slow for a traditional internet connection. We're starting to see more of the fiber. The city of Holland is rolling out fiber, so I'm going to be able to get 2 gigabyte down and 2 gigabyte up, about $45 a month. That's going to be they're rolling out in different neighborhoods. I'm hoping that ours is going to be the next neighborhood, which could be in 6 months to a year. But then it'll upload. So I think that trend will slowly go away. But if you use offline backups, just know that, as Ward said, initially it is going to be painfully slow. But after it uploads everything, much like Time Machine, all it has to do is upload what you've changed. So then after that, it's fine. So if you can get through that first 3 weeks to 3 months, then you're going to be fine. It's going to be relatively quick. You won't even know. But that first one, as Ward said, is painfully slow. So, all right. Next question that I have is, items on my iPad are being cut off. Can I make it smaller? And this comes from, is Bonnie here? All right. She's not here. So I am not real clear on what she means, but I have an idea, and it might be her iPad is in Zoom. I just had this with my friends. His wife came to me. I went down. We did a little wine tasting about an hour south of Holland here, and she's like, "My phone, it's zoomed in. Things are cut off," which is what Bonnie is saying. And so I got that fixed. I'll show you how I do that shortly. And then all of a sudden, her husband, Lee, good friend of mine, comes up and he's like, "Hey, I'm having this problem with Zoom." It's just ironic that this husband-wife came to me within 10 minutes of each other with the exact same problem. And I'm thinking that's what Bonnie has as well. So what I'm talking about here is an accessibility option. So I'm first going to turn it on, and then we'll go through and I'll show you a little bit more about it. But I'll show you what she's talking about here. So it could be this. You're going to see that. Oops, you're not looking at my iPad. I'm sorry. All right, how about there? Now you're looking at my iPad. So you're going to see that I have this area here. So that is a little window, zoom window, and what I'm able to do, if I can drag it out of there, but anyway, you can see that things are cut off here. And if you don't have it as a window, you don't have to have it as a window. You can have it as full screen zoom. And now if we look, things are kind of cut off. I have it zoomed in really high. So let's go and zoom it out. She might have it like this. So we can see that things are just kind of cut off there. And how do I, what do I do? There, look, we can see, again, cut off, really close to the edge. So I'm wondering if she has zoom on. And how we can check that is we go to our settings app, and you can actually turn this on and off inadvertently. When it's on, she might have turned it on, not realizing that's what she did. So when we go over to our settings here, which is kind of cut off, and then we go to our accessibility here, you're going to see that we have zoom. And under zoom, I have to move it over here. Hopefully I can get it. It's over here off of the edge. So I'm going to read this little area here. Drag 3 fingers to move around the screen. So I'm taking 3 fingers and I just drag. There we go. So I'm just dragging across the screen with my 3 fingers. And then I can turn that off, and now it's off. And that's basically all she has to do. Now, why would it be turned on? Well, what you can do is you can actually have, when it's on, you can have it turn on and off. Double tap with 3 fingers. There we go. So now it's out. So now it's not zoomed out. But if I just double tap with 3 fingers, maybe she just accidentally did this. Zoom. She did this. It did this after an update. So the update might have turned it on accidentally. And then I just double tap with 3 fingers and it turns off. So Bonnie, if you watch this later, go into your accessibility settings and make sure that this is turned off. And then if you double tap with 3 fingers accidentally, it is not going to zoom in or out. But that is my guess at what's going on. When things get cut off, it's just because of that zoom, and it's probably set for full screen, and it was turned on with the update. So. All right. I'm going to, Jean says we have 2 Macs at home. I'm going to go back to Backblaze here. Backblaze is still a good option for offsite backup. Yes, absolutely. I just like Backblaze. If I had 5 computers, I'd use Backblaze for all of them. I certainly wouldn't mix up 2 of them. I would just, they do handle multiple Macs. So probably have to pay a little more for it, but they do support that. So, all right. Our next question here is, when I use Sirius comes from Steve. Did I see Steve here? Sometimes he shows up a little late. I don't see Steve here. Okay, so Steve, if you watch this later, and I thought this was a pretty good question too. So basically I'm going to go back to that question, when he uses Siri on the HomePod, it tells him that he needs to unlock his phone. So why is that? Why do I have to unlock my phone? And this is a little bit of a quirky thing. It shouldn't do that, but from everything that I've read, it does happen. And I've seen it happen here as well. I do have a HomePod. And what they said to do, if you're not using, so with the HomePod, what we can do is we can use personalized services or personalized voice. The HomePod will listen, and if it recognizes my voice, if I say, hey, what's on my schedule for today? The HomePod will come back with my schedule. And then if Beth asks it, what it's going to do is it's going to come back with her schedule. So that's personalized service. It listens to your voice, recognizes your voice, and does what it needs to do. And it seems to be associated with this. So the only thing I can think of is what you may want to do is turn that off. I generally don't use that. I have it turned off I just basically use HomePod for, checking the weather and your normal stuff. So if you don't use that personalized service, I'm going to show you. Yep. Nope. I have to show you on my personal phone because that's where the HomePod is connected. So this is my personal phone. And the way that we do that, the HomePod is through the Home app. So we have to open up the Home app. And on the Home app, you can see I was testing it out there, I have all my different devices. So what we have to do is we have to find the HomePod. And I have my HomePod here. I don't know why it says installing, but it still works. So if I long press on that, I have an option for my accessibility or accessory settings. And then in here, there's going to be all of my options, including, where is it? Personal requests. So Steve, what I would recommend doing is going over here and turning that off. And see if that works, because then it's not necessarily tied to your iPhone looking at your schedule and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I've seen or read is what is happening. When they turn that off, when people turn that off, it seems to work. You don't have to unlock your iPhone anymore because it's not tied to a specific person. Now, if you do have a house with multiple people and you do use that personalization, what you may want to do is turn it off and then turn it back on. Make sure that your HomePod is updated. I'm not a huge HomePod user, but maybe disconnect it and reconnect it. But I would say probably that will fix it, is if you just do that. So, anyone have any questions on that? All right. Rolling through here. Our next one here is unique ringtones. They're intermittent on his iPhone. This is coming from David. And is David here? All right. Okay. Hi, David. So basically, what David is doing is he is assigning different ringtones to different people, correct? Okay. You tried. Okay. Okay. And the way that you do that is through the Contacts app or the phone app. And let's say I wanted to apply a ringtone to Beth here. I would edit it. And down here, you're going to see ringtone default. And what David did then here is just went and assigned something else, correct? Okay. Did you? No, that's all right. No, that's all right. Do you know if you chose one of these or were you using custom? Because you can use custom ringtones in here as well. Okay. From what I read, if you use custom ringtones, they're saying try different, well, actually they're saying try different ringtone with that person. It could be a problem with one of these. You know, maybe it needs to be re-downloaded or whatever. So if you're using Chirp, don't use Chirp, use Canopy. And just see if that works. See if it's related to a ringtone itself. That seems to be what people are saying is the ringtone itself becomes corrupt. So then it doesn't work. Yeah, just try a different one. See if that works any better and, go from there. On a little different tip here, what you are also, I don't know if you know this, but you can also create different haptic taps. So if you don't have the ringtone on, you know how your phone vibrates, and if you have it sitting on the desk, it'll just, well, when she texts you, what you're able to do is, instead of in addition to the ringtone, what you're able to do is go in here and set different, so then it might do for her as opposed to, so you could try that. It's just another tip, and you can even create your own vibration. So, but then you get a combination of both. So you don't have to have the ringtone on. Even if it's in your pocket, you'll be able to tell just by how it's vibrating, the haptic tap. So that might even be a better solution. So depending on how you use it. And our next question here is Chronosync, and I've heard of it. I think I played it with it. It's been around for a long time, right? Every couple of weeks, there's just something new I discover with Setapp. So here's Chronosync. So yeah, Jean, you might want to take a look at that. So then what you're doing is you're still only using one offline backup, correct? Is that right, Ward? Okay, so what this will do is this will back up all of the other ones. I'm not real familiar with it, but yeah, file and folder synchronization. Is it pretty easy to use? Seems like we had 2 people, and it's ready for Sonoma. So yeah, you got a free trial here, so you can try it out and just see what it was. But yeah, that might be another good solution. Thanks. I'll have to take a look at that just for fun. I don't really have any use for it, but I do find that interesting. So, all right, that's what I have. I think it went to my thank you slide, so we can open it up. I know there was a question about the Apple Watch. My watch synced to control the stop, start, and volume. For some reason, I've lost the capability. Watch sync to control the stop, start, and volume on the iPhone. So is Roger here? Okay. It doesn't work at all? Do you have a workout on when you do this? Okay, so you're just using the straight music app on the Apple Watch. Have you tried force quitting Apple Watch apps? Watch OS 10. Have you tried force quitting the app? Not restarting it. How we do that, this is what I would try first. So it's like force quitting an app on the iPhone. And I actually need to, let's see if I can get this to work. I'll show you how to force quit on the Apple Watch, because I'm having a problem as well with my Apple Watch. Something that we covered maybe about a month ago. The weather doesn't show my forecast. Someone else was having that problem. So let's see if I can show my Apple Watch. Yeah. No, it shouldn't. It really shouldn't matter. Nope. I was just wondering if he was using the, because you can access the controls and you can access the controls of the music app through the workout app. So I didn't know if he was going through the music app or the workout app. And maybe we'll cover that here too. You can try this as something. I don't know if it'll work, but so I'm looking at my Apple Watch here, and what I want to do is close my weather app, because when I go to the weather app, when you swipe up here, I'm swiping up. I don't have a forecast. And really what you should be doing is having, you should be having the forecast there. So I don't know, why that is, but I'm going to say it's a bug. I've restarted the watch. That didn't fix it. So I'm going to go back with Roger and the music. He's restarted it, and that didn't necessarily fix it either. So basically what we need to do is force quit it. So we're going to see if this works for me, and then maybe it'll work for you. To force quit it, what we need to do is we need to double press on the digital crown here. So I just double press on it, 1, 2, and you're going to see I have the weather app here, and if I swipe over to the left, I tap on the X, it force quit that app. So it takes it out of memory. If you shut down the Apple Watch, it's going to put everything back in memory, so it's not necessarily quitting it. So now let's just see if this works. You can see that I have the little spinning symbol. Yeah, still not working for me, so I don't know what my problem is. But I still get no forecast. So I just double click on this little guy here, 1, 2, and all you have to do is just swipe through. So much like the iPhone, instead of swiping up to quit it, you swipe to the left. So I'm just swiping over to the left on each one. Apple is changing things on the Apple Watch still. Every year they move things around. So muscle memory doesn't necessarily work well with it, unfortunately. But I would try that. Try force quitting it. I don't know. I'll try that and see if I can replicate that. I won't use my AirPods just to see if that works. Not known to be very stable, I shouldn't say it. I mean, it is good. It's good technology, but Apple, what they did is they added, I think, a HW1 chip or something to the AirPods, and it works with Bluetooth, but they made it far more stable, or maybe it just works better because they're talking Apple to Apple, that kind of thing. So it's a layer on top of Bluetooth that makes it much better. But Bluetooth itself is known to have issues, and they're getting better. They're up to version 5 spec, which is really, for how long Bluetooth has been around, that's really not that many versions. It takes a long time for them to upgrade it. And that's because they want to make sure that it's backwards compatible. And when you want to make something backwards compatible, you can't really use the latest and greatest technology. So I think that's part of the issue that is going on, is a little conservative ramp up. So like I say, Apple just added a layer on top of that. That doesn't necessarily help out Roger, though, because he's using all Apple. So it should work anyway. But yeah, I don't have any music on my Apple Watch either, so it's finding my Apple Watch. And you certainly don't want to unpair it. Maybe turn Bluetooth off and then back on. You could try that. And that is in the settings here. You're not going to lose anything. It's just going to turn it off, and then it's just going to turn it back on. You could try that. All right. Hey, there's Steve. I answered your question earlier, Steve. Okay, real quick. It's check out. Are you the only one using the HomePod? So you're not tried this. See if personalize something is on. So go to home, long press on your HomePod, and then in there's going to be an option to turn off your so it's listening for voices. So if you have multiple people in the house, I could ask it for my schedule, Beth could ask it for her schedule, and it recognizes that. When I did research on this, they're saying that can cause problems with unlocking the iPhone. So being that it's just you don't, same thing here. I generally have it off because Beth and I don't use that personalized scheduling. We just use it for weather and sports and timers and things like that. All right. Let me take a look here. Let's see here. Kevin's asking about login information. Get to your website. Copy them down. You should be getting emails. I've been trying to do pretty good with that. Did everyone get an email about my thing today in the morning, this morning? Okay. So, Kevin, you should be getting, excuse me, you should be getting emails. So, and then that has all the information. That is what I have been doing, hopefully, probably the last couple months. I've really tried. If you register, the email that you're supposed to get during the day in the morning includes the meeting ID, the passcode or password. I'll see if I can, I bet you my email service puts passcode in there because I like password. So I'll double check that. And then it also includes a link. And if you use the link, you shouldn't need any meeting ID or password. So, but I'll double check that. But it should have everything. All right. I guess I need to look into that a little bit more. I thought I had that figured out. So I'll do that. All right. That's basically what I have as far as questions. So let's see here. I'm looking at the comments here. What do we have here? I have the same weather app problem with my watch, which somehow got resolved with the very latest. Okay, I'm going to double check, Jean, if I have the latest version of WatchOS 10. I think actually we talked about this a while back, and I got it fixed, and now all of a sudden it doesn't seem to be working anymore. So I'm going to double check that. And then watch question, can I turn off my watches predicting the drive time to my next appointment or to home? Ooh, good question. Let's see if we can find where that may be. Where would that be? So I'm going to go to my phone here. And let's go to... The first thing I can think of is make sure there's no location in the location field of the calendar. then it doesn't know where it needs to take you. So then it might not give you directions to it, because there's a location field. And I'm seeing that more and more, actually, because my calendar syncs with my car, so I'll get in the car, and now it's syncing with Beth's phone as well. And last night I got in the car, and it said, Beth plays hockey, and it said 5 minutes to hockey. I'm like, I'm not playing hockey, you know. But yeah, and it does this all automatic. She just kind of puts it in the calendar, but yeah, it fills in all the blanks. And I will use, I don't use the directions because I live in a smaller town. I think Ward does too. So I don't, we don't need that. But when I do go to Grand Rapids, which is, I mean, it's not Atlanta, don't get me wrong, but doesn't have the traffic of Atlanta, but it has enough traffic to where it does reroute me when something, so on longer, I like that sometimes and other times not. I don't know, Ward. Let's see here. I was going to say, let's see if we can go into the Watch app and notifications. We're just going to take a look at a couple of different things here. Maps, turn alerts, driving. Maybe turn these off. Or we got this one down here. That's for transit. I think public transit. So that probably wouldn't. But maybe you could turn these off, see if that does it. It'll turn off notifications for driving. But the problem with that would be if you do use it when you're going somewhere and, the Apple Watch will tick, 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 when you have to turn and all that, it won't do that anymore. So you kind of turn off directions altogether. That's a phone. So you might be able, what you might want to do is just try this. Turn off under Maps here. This is in the Apple Watch app. Turn off driving here. It's not going to affect the phone. All right, so that is it. As I mentioned in the beginning, Zoom froze up on me, so it abruptly quit. My recording abruptly quit. But again, like I mentioned as well, you didn't really miss out on anything. We were getting to our small talk, so all of the questions were answered. All right, so if you want to learn more about me, take a look at Dan's tutorials. If you want to help support my efforts, you can become a member. And I want to thank you for watching the video.